Cause you never know what tomorrow brings in this crazy life. Hey, this life, this life, this life.
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Barber223 back with another video. Today I'll be talking about something that honestly is really important right now going on in ESO, and that's proc sets. Everyone's talking about them, and I figured it'd be time for me to give my opinion on them because obviously people really have mixed opinions on them. So, you know, I'm gonna give ways that I think ESO can fix procs in a way to not take them out of the game, not ruin them, but also not have them so overpowered to where they are now. Before we get started though, I want to mention to you guys that I really would appreciate if you guys subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate you viewing my videos. It's really helping me out, but if we sub, we can keep growing and just get better from here. So make sure you sub. So let's just get into it. So first of all, I want to say that I don't want ESO to take out procs. I don't think they should be out of the game. They're definitely cool, and it gives people ways to make different builds other than just stats, which is cool. I like that, right? Everyone likes an idea of a more versatile build, but they've gone too far, I think. And I think the reason they're so overpowered is partly because when they drop new sets and new DLC, right, it gives people a reason to buy it. People are going to pay money for the DLC or buy ESO Plus so they can access these new overpowered sets. And obviously that's not fair, right? I mean, you can't fault them for making money in the ways that they know how, right? But at the same time, they have to be mindful of the fact that there's sets out there that are ridiculous, and not ridiculous to where them by themselves, but the way that you can stack them and use literally 4 or 5 different proc sets all at once while using Malacath to buff them. That's where the issue comes in. So I'll get into the reasons. I have a few reasons. I would say I have about 5 reasons that I think that they can, and 5 different ways that they can fix procs, right? So number 1 is going to be something simple as this: lower the damage of proc sets. It sounds simple, right? But in reality it's not. Everything in ESO has so much math involved. It has so many statistics that we can't even begin to understand. This is from anything: damage bonuses, spell damage, max magic, max stamina. Everything has mathematics involved. But to make it put, I think if ESO did put proc sets to do half the damage they do now, they'd still be strong, right? That's just the reality. They're ridiculous. They're so strong, and even if you did them in half, they'd be still good and viable, right? But that also takes months of calculating, right? So that might be out the window. So then we'll move on to reason number 2, I think, or let's say solution number 2. I think what they can do is limit the number of procs you can use to 1 per type. And by type, I mean arena weapons are a type. For example, Black Rose, Vate Strands, Master Staff. That's 1. People can double bar them right now. That needs to be fixed. It should be 1 per build, I think. 2 is being able to only equip 1 5-piece proc set. That's another thing. You can use Hunter's Venom and Oblivion's Foe at once. You can use Savara's Scales and Oblivion's Foe, Savara's Scale, Unleashed, and Hunter's Venom. You see where I'm going with this? You can do 20k damage in 10 seconds while being able to essentially just light attack and use 1 skill. So I think that's where the issue comes into. So if we limit it to 1 per type, I think things could be fixed in a way that it would make it easy and viable. You can't use 2 proc sets. And that's going to make the builds more versatile, and there's going to be way more different builds of people using if that's what we do. And hopefully, I personally like this. I don't know how easy that is to implement, and people might not like that, but I like it. So number 3 would be a global cooldown. And what I mean by this is, let's say you hit me with Oblivion's Foe, right? So if you hit me with Oblivion's Foe, there should be, kind of like CC immunity, to where there's a timer to where how long it takes for me to be able to be hit with another proc. So at least there's some downtime, because we have multiple proc sets that have 100% uptime, and that's just damage that essentially cancels out people's healing, because there's just ticks hitting them constantly for 1,000, 1,500, even 2,000 for the amount of procs you have. If I hit you with Black Rose, Oblivion's Foe, and Savara's all at once, you're getting hit for 3k a second. And then on top of your spammable, you're going, it's just how it is. So a global cooldown might be a really good option here. We'll see how that goes. I think this could be even the best option, but let's see what direction ESO goes with that. This could cause issues though, right? So how are they going to do this in terms of, oh, can multiple people, different people hit you with a cooldown? Or is it going to be one person has a cooldown, or will it be a cooldown to where yourself is immune to any proc sets for a certain amount of time? That's going to make a big difference. So number 4, I would say, is, I would call this don't allow them to stack. And this is similar to a global cooldown, because it's pretty much like, you can't be hit by multiple procs at one time, right? So instead of a cooldown, so let's say there's 10 seconds of uptime of Savara's Scales and 10 seconds of uptime of Oblivion's Foe, right? So if they change it to a global cooldown, they'll say, oh, there's 5 seconds where you can't be hit. So if you get hit with Savara's, there's a 5-second downtime until you can hit someone with Oblivions, right? That would be a global cooldown. But a not allowing them to stack theory would be, you get hit with Savara's, then you ain't hitting them with another proc of that type until that 10 seconds is up. So Savara's and Oblivions can't be up at the same time, but Savara's and Savara's and Vatistrand staff can be up at the same time, if that makes sense. It's a bit confusing, but having different types of procs, 5 pieces, 1 pieces, or 2 pieces, that makes it to where you can't be hit with that type of more than one at once. So that is essentially another global cooldown thing. I actually like this one myself, because it makes things more doable, and it essentially cancels out being able to use a million proc sets, right? It makes them more manageable, and it makes people have to use something else and make them actually learn the skills and learn their class, because there's no skill gap with what's going on right now. So I think that would be a good solution. I don't know how well that would work. It would be tough to balance, right? So proc sets would essentially be nerfed to the ground if they did that, but I like it. So we'll move on to the next one. I think number 5, and this could be the most important one of them all, is don't let Malacath buff procs, right? This is what we've all been asking for, and I think this is the one that they have to implement. I think Malacath should buff direct damage only, or not even direct damage only. It's change the wording to Malacath now buffs 25%, and you can't crit for class abilities, or class and weapon abilities rather. So you can use dots on a DK or a Templar, but you can't get the buff from procs, right? So only weapon and class abilities. I think that fixes everything, because people are going to revert back to using class abilities rather than 100 proc sets. If you get less damage from proc sets than you do from class abilities with Malacath, people are either going to make crit builds or they're going to stop using procs. And this will make procs still viable, but at the same time, it might not be 100% worth to your rotation is light attack, gap close, and then you use one skill and essentially just sit there and watch people die, right? So if Malacath isn't coming into play here, because that's why you get these insane tooltips of Unleashed Terror hitting for 13k and Oblivion's Foe ticking for 1200 a second, compared to Engulfing Flames ticking for 500 a second. It's going to make the biggest difference in the way the game functions. Malacath has been an issue for a while. I love the idea of Mythics, and I love the idea of Malacath. I think it's really good for her builds, but I don't think it's really good for procs. And I think it will be. I think they need to see this, because the game's going in a difficult direction. It's tough to play. You can't play solo. I mean, you can, but it's tough. You just get hit with. You can get hit by the same proc for multiple different people, and that's where I think the issue comes in, right? If you get 4 guys on you in a BG, you're dead, right? You can win a 1v1, a 1v2, and even a 1v3. But if you have 4 Stam Wardens running around with Crimson and Savara's Scales, you're getting hit with multiple Crimsons, you're getting hit with multiple Savaras at once, right? And that's where I think the issue is. They need to nerf it to where you can get hit with one at a time, or they're doing less damage. you know, or maybe even lowering the amount of damage that you take based on how many negative effects you have. So it could be fixed. I think any of any of these solutions will work to an extent. Um, I'm hoping this next update really addresses it, even though they haven't said they're going to address it. I like the changes they're making to classes. I like the changes they're making to skills. I like the changes they're making to race. Especially in terms of the armor. Heavy, light, and medium. I think more light armor builds are going to come about, and I don't think heavy armor should be the meta, and I don't think heavy armor should be the most damage either, because Malacath and Procs are ruining that and making heavy armor so easily accessible. So we'll see. I'm optimistic about it. Usually I want to make build videos. I want to keep it positive, and I think there's positive to Procs, and there's also negative. I'm sure you guys feel the same way. Procs essentially make the skill gap in ESO non-existent. That's something I really don't like. A year ago, I mean, I'm still pretty good, but like a year ago, I could 1v10 or 2v10, right? Now that's just really not feasible. Especially because I play no CP, so it makes it almost impossible. But I'm just, I'm ready for the next update, and I like the way the game's going. Hopefully. It's either going to go really well or really bad. I haven't tested the no procs yet in this PTS, but I'm planning on it, so we'll see how that goes. But, as always, I'm happy to give you guys some content, and hopefully things get better, and I really do think they will. Let me know what you guys think about my ideas, or what you think procs can be done, or if you think procs are fine the way they are. I mean, I'm always open to hear disagreements. So, as always, it's Barba223 giving you a video. And before you leave, if you enjoy the content or want to see more or have any ideas, leave a comment, leave a like, and most importantly, leave a subscribe to your boy, because I'm going to be posting videos every day, trying to post even more than one a day. So if you guys can really help me out, I would love that. And yeah, so let's see what happens in the next update. Keep practicing, keep working. I'm going to post more build videos soon. And thank you, and have a good one, guys. See ya.